Every interview with Chino Moreno seemed to circle back to one question: what's your favorite song of all time? Fans wanted to know which track lived inside his heart, the one that shaped his voice, his writing, his entire identity. But Chino always dodged it. He'd smile, look away, and give vague answers like, "It depends on the day." That mystery only deepened his legend. The voice behind Deftones, a band that blurred the lines between beauty and chaos, clearly had a soundtrack of his own. Yet he never let it slip, until one quiet night in the studio, years after White Pony and Diamond Eyes, when an interviewer asked again, and this time he didn't look away. Chino leaned back in his chair, remembering a time long before fame. He was a teenager in Sacramento, lost between skate parks and old cassette players. Music wasn't just sound, it was survival. He said the song that changed everything came when he least expected it, late at night on a small radio by his bed. "It just stopped me," he recalled. The melody, fragile yet haunting, wrapped around him. It wasn't metal, it wasn't punk, it was something between sadness and light. That night he felt something awaken inside, the urge to make music that hurt beautifully. He didn't know it then, but that song would follow him into every lyric, every whisper, every scream he'd ever record. Fans often describe Deftones' music as emotional chaos, heavy guitars mixed with tenderness, but Chino said that balance came from that one song he heard in his youth. It taught him that contrast was powerful, that aggression could live next to beauty. When he started Deftones with Abe Cunningham and Stephen Carpenter, he brought that lesson to every rehearsal. "We could play loud," Chino said, "but we had to feel something." That emotional depth became their signature. Whether it was Change in the House of Flies or Digital Bath, the echo of that first song, his favorite, was always there, hiding between the notes. It happened during a relaxed podcast session. The host asked almost jokingly, "So Chino, after all these years, do you finally have a favorite song?" Chino laughed, paused, then nodded. "Yeah," he said softly, "I think I've always known." The room went quiet, even the host leaned closer. Chino explained that his favorite song wasn't just about sound, it was about feeling seen. A song that captured loneliness, love, and confusion all at once. "It's Radiohead's motion picture soundtrack," he said finally. "That song wrecks me every time." The host blinked. Fans later said they felt chills. Of all songs, not a Deftones track, not metal, but something deeply human. People were surprised. Radiohead and Deftones weren't often compared. But to Chino, Thom Yorke's voice was like a mirror. He said it wasn't about genre, it was about honesty. "When I heard motion picture soundtrack, it felt like someone had written my own sadness," he admitted. The song, slow and cinematic, had no aggression, just pure emotional surrender. "That's the kind of truth I want in my music." For him, motion picture soundtrack wasn't just a favorite. It was a reminder that vulnerability can be louder than any scream. Chino described listening to that song in dark hotel rooms, headphones on after shows. "You come off stage in front of thousands of people, but you feel empty inside," he said. "Then I'd play that song and suddenly I wasn't alone." The delicate organs, the haunting vocals, the feeling of floating away, it gave him peace. Fans later noticed that some of Deftones' softest moments, like Beauty School or Teenager, carried that same fragile atmosphere. The influence wasn't copied, it was absorbed, transformed, and reborn. Chino once said, "If I don't feel something when I sing, what's the point?" That belief came directly from motion picture soundtrack. It taught him that art was supposed to make you uncomfortable, to touch places you hide from the world. "Radiohead reminded me that it's okay to be sensitive," he explained. "It doesn't make you weak, it makes you real." That mindset shaped albums like Koi no Yakin and Ohms, where Deftones blended brutality with soul. Every whispered lyric, every echoing chord, all traced back to that single moment of truth. When the clip went viral, fans flooded comment sections with emotion. Some said they cried listening to the song again through Chino's eyes. Others said they finally understood his lyrics, how he could sound both broken and beautiful. One fan wrote, "Now I hear Deftones differently. It's like Radiohead's ghost lives inside their songs." Even Radiohead fans joined in, calling it the crossover nobody expected. For once, the world saw the connection between two of rock's most emotional voices, Thom Yorke and Chino Moreno, both singing from the same dark corner of the heart. Years later, Chino said he still plays motion picture soundtrack before recording new music. "It resets me," he said. "It reminds me why I started." For him, it's not just nostalgia, it's a compass. That song represents purity, something untouched by fame or noise, and even as Deftones evolve, that essence stays alive. Whether fans hear it or not, the heartbeat of motion picture soundtrack quietly runs beneath their sound, a private tribute to the song that taught him to feel deeply and sing honestly. In the end, Chino said, "Your favorite song isn't always the loudest or the most famous, it's the one that understands you." For him, that was Radiohead's motion picture soundtrack, a song that whispered when the world screamed. It stayed with him through every tour, every heartbreak, every sleepless night. And maybe that's the real meaning of favorite, not the song you love the most, but the one that never leaves you. When Chino's fans listen now, they can hear it, the quiet ghost of that melody, floating beneath every Deftones track, reminding us that even the loudest hearts come from silence. Chino Moreno's identification of The Beautiful Ones by Prince as his all-time favorite song is more than a fun fact. It's a glimpse into the heart of what drives an artist known for lush atmospheres, emotional depths, and surprising contrasts. It reminds us that the songs that stick with us are those that do more than sound good. They pull us into another space, emotional, visual, imaginative. For fans, knowing that Moreno's lifelong admiration resides in a piece like The Beautiful Ones builds connection. It shows that even as a frontman of an alternative metal band, his inner universe was deeply touched by soulful ballads, cinematic moments, vulnerability, and artistry that doesn't compromise on bravery. More broadly, such revelations underscore how influences travel, from Prince to Chino Moreno, from Purple Rain to albums like White Pony, Around the Fur, and beyond. They illustrate how music is a chain. One artist's intimate favorite becomes seeds for many more. Finally, this choice highlights the importance of emotional authenticity in art. For listeners, it's a reminder: what moves us isn't always what's loudest or hardest, but what's honest, what's textured, what connects to our own moments of feeling. Chino Moreno naming The Beautiful Ones draws attention not just to Prince's legacy, but to the enduring power of a song that truly speaks to the soul.